Hello and welcome to Theatre and Tonic, where I am joined by Mark Peachy to chat about the upcoming Curve production of The Wizard of Oz. Hi Mark, welcome to Theatre and Tonic. Can you talk about, your career up to this point?
Hi there. Yeah. So, I'll be playing Professor Marvel and the Wizard this year. I'm really excited to come back to Curve. It all started for me back in 2004, really, was when I graduated from drama school. I went to East 15 and I did a postgraduate course in acting. So I got into it a little bit later in life, and then sort of got an agent and sort of started picking up work after that, mostly theatre, bit of TV, bit of film. I guess I'm your classic sort of jobbing actor, basically, so I'll just go where the work is. Done a lot of touring work and things like that. But previous to that, I guess really my experience was around Leicestershire doing sort of school plays, and then I joined a couple of different amateur groups, one that used to perform at the Haymarket and performs here now at the Curve, I think, Laos, I think they still do bits and bobs. So I've always kind of dipped my toes, but I guess really started taking it seriously as a career from 2003, 2004 onwards.
Interesting. Like you say, you are a Leicester lad, so you've always been in this city, and obviously you've been at the Curve before. So what kind of gravitates you back to the Curve this time around, do you think?
I think it's that feeling of just, it is home for me. So I've always lived here. Even when I've worked away in London or something, I've always resisted the urge to move down south, which I know there are a lot of opportunities down there, but I totally believe that you can make it work, around the country in different areas. There's fantastic theatre scenes, all over the place, Manchester, Liverpool, further up north, Leeds, things like that. So for me, Leicester is just, it means everything to me, because all my family are here, all my memories are here, I live here, this is my local theatre, and it means more because it's home, if that kind of makes sense.
Absolutely. So talking about The Wizard of Oz, what has it been like rehearsing? Obviously you're in rehearsals at the moment, so how is it kind of coming together for you, do you think?
Do you know what, for me, I think I'm probably on a slightly different journey to the rest of the cast, because when I started I was still doing my final week of Dear Evan Hansen, so I was kind of sort of coming to and from London, so I feel like I'm sort of 1 week behind almost. We're now into week 4, I think it is, of rehearsals. The cast are fantastic, great creative team. Everyone seems to have sort of bonded, and we've sort of touched on every single scene now, and we're just piecing it together, really digging into those lines, and Nikolai's putting his sort of trademark new twist on it, and bringing that sort of modern twist to a classic that everybody knows and loves. So yeah, the Wizard is kind of quite an elusive character, so I think I'm sort of still discovering who he is, basically. And Professor Marvel is obviously, he's in Act 1, and he meets Dorothy, and sort of tries to convince her that maybe staying at home is the best option for her. So he's a bit of an interesting character as well, a little bit shady, a bit of a travelling salesman. So yeah, I'm blessed with two very different parts in this, but obviously they are all linked in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched on, obviously, coming from Dear Evan Hansen, which is such an emotional show, so it must be really difficult to kind of close that chapter and kind of start this new one in the mist.
Yeah, and the two shows are completely different. You couldn't get more of a contrast, really. I had such a wonderful time on the show. I mean, we obviously had that crazy COVID break in the middle of sort of 18 months off away from the show, but in total it was sort of 3 years, and it was lovely to come back to it. I'm very fond of the show still, and I feel like we sort of went out on a high, and I'd be very surprised if there wasn't life beyond the Noel Coward and London. I think hopefully it'd be nice if it sort of toured one day. But yeah, very fond of that show, but equally just so you're not grieving the loss of being in a show, it's so nice to just move on to another straight away, and I'm very blessed that I was able to do that, really.
Yeah, very lucky.
Yeah, very lucky, especially in this day and age. it's very competitive out there. So yeah.
Yeah. And obviously you play two roles in this production, so how have you developed those? Because I guess it's kind of hard to develop two characters at the same time, and are they quite different?
Yeah, they are. I mean, I would say I didn't know much about Professor Marvel because I couldn't remember that character from the film, and I'd never seen Andrew Lloyd Webber's production of it years ago. So I guess I didn't come with any sort of preconceived ideas for that, so I was able to very much put my own spin on that, right back to the audition that I had with Nikolai, so I found that quite an interesting character. Obviously, he was played by Michael Crawford. I'm a lot younger than him, and I think there's that kind of you question his motives. You know, he is a little bit shady. I think he's one of those guys that. He's a sort of jack of all trades. He does a bit of magic, fortune telling, but at the same time, is he just trying to get money off people? So there's a real. I like playing those sort of complex characters. Similar to Richard III, when you kind of, you want them to be liked and understood by the audience, but they have questionable sort of motives. So. Yeah, I'm enjoying getting into him. He has a nice song in the show called "The Wonders of the World," which is his travelling act that he takes around all these sort of little places on our sort of Route 66, as we're calling it. That's really interesting. And the wizard is completely different because, again, he's not what you expect him to be, but essentially deep down he is a good man. So he's our version of the wizard. He's a little bit more flamboyant, let's say, without giving too much away. But he may have a cape. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Just may have a cape.
Yeah.
It's not been decided.
No. Yeah.
So to kind of tie it up, then, what do you think people will get from this production that they haven't maybe got from a Made at Curve production before?
First and foremost, when I say this, genuinely, I'm so excited about this. It's a real feast for the eyes. Like the scenery, the set, the costumes. It's just going to look incredible. Sorry, you can hear the rehearsals going on in the background there. We've got a fantastic cast, very, very talented. We've been able to put a real fresh spin on this production. So we've really kind of like taken the original book and film, but kind of put our own unique spin on that. So I think it's going to feel new, fresh, unique, exciting. It's going to look so colourful, and I think people are just going to be able to escape for a couple of hours and just enjoy this incredible world that L. Frank Baum sort of created all those years ago, and has gone on to spurn so many different spin-offs, Wicked and things like that. So I just think people will thoroughly be able to enjoy the Christmas show here. It's honestly going to be magical. It's a great story about friendship and understanding what is important in life. And for Dorothy and for myself, it's coming home.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Mark, for chatting.
Very welcome. Thank you. Hey, that was nice. Do you like that ending? Yeah, I tied that up.